Welcome to the Business Awareness Hour with Lisa and the Music Man. Live from Studio C, here at Media Stations in Bohemia, New York.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our pre-Thanksgiving Eve special with the lovely Lisa and the most attractive guy, Music Man person that there is here tonight.
Yes, the Music Man,
Hey!
Mr. Norman Wasserman. Yes.
It's almost Thanksgiving.
How's it going?
It's almost Thanksgiving. Did you start
It's
cooking?
crazy. What's that?
Did you start cooking yet?
I've made a pot of chicken stew, which is a favorite when I have guests arriving.
Uh-huh.
And there's a loaf of bread that I put out and made this afternoon in between meetings. So yes, I've started cooking, and I still have to make my molasses cookies.
Molasses cookie. You're a real tease. That's good. Chicken
I'll have to
stew,
bring
which
some next time.
I happen to love chicken stew, and molasses and fresh bread. You know, doesn't get any better than that. The only thing that's better is our guest. Our guest is pretty cool.
Yes, he is, and it's like he has a great history, but not only that, he's also got a great product now too.
Not only is he has a name like a cowboy. You know, like a cowboy name, and he happens to live in Texas. Mr. Dan Hickox. Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Greetings.
Welcome.
Nice to
there.
have you here, Dan. Nice to have you here. We're going to hear your story tonight, and you're going to tell people all about what you do and why you do it and what your history was beforehand. So why don't we start off? Do you always live in Texas?
Oh, no, I'm an Air Force brat, so I got to see a large part of the world before I was 9 years old. And then being a military officer myself, I got to see the rest of the world several times over as an adult. So, yeah, lived all over. I consider myself from Colorado since that was the second 9 years of my life.
Now you
Second
had
9 years in Colorado. So the first 9 was around the globe with mom and dad?
Pretty much. So our PCS, Permanent Change of Station, 3 weeks old, moving from Alabama to Louisiana, Nebraska, lived in the economy in Tokyo, Japan. That was a hoot.
Wow.
Of course, when you're 6 years old, it's a lot more fun than when you're an adult trying to figure out how to get potable water and cook in a tiny kitchen. And then off to Hawaii, and then to Colorado.
Oh, Hawaii must have been a treat.
It was. It's a
That is the
dreamland
most
for an 8-year-old kid.
most beautiful place I have ever seen. That place, it's just, no matter where you turn, it's just stunning. You know, there's different shades of the water, and you take a step one way, it's one color, and the other way, it's another. It's just a beautiful place. And it was nice to be here. Then you went to high school, you graduated from high school, and did you bother to go to college?
Well, some would
That's a
argue,
tease, by
is
the way.
West Point really a college?
But it's an interesting, so
but
where
yeah,
did you go to school?
West Point, also known as the United States Military Academy.
Ah, okay, that's
Yes.
pretty classy.
That's a military college. You could say that's definitely university.
Absolutely.
Come on, Norman.
I didn't
Yeah.
say it. He said it might not be a university. I'm giving him saying it is.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
giving it is.
And my husband went to the competitive school to
The
yours
benefit
at
of the
Norwich.
doubt, I get it.
Yep.
Okay,
Incidentally, I am a Norwich grad. I got a master's degree in military history from Norwich. So, yeah, I can relate.
Alumni. Yep.
Yeah.
He has his master's in governance and security of IT security systems. He did their program there for
Awesome.
6 months. Yeah. So
And
alumni.
And you did a program upon graduation of West Point by being an Air Force pilot.
Yes.
How
one
long
of the
did you do that
fortunate-
for?
25 years.
That's it? It took
Yeah,
it took you that long to start the plane?
No, actually, I got to get the airplane to and from the rest of the world. It was trying to keep those colonels and generals out of trouble over the years that just kind of ran out of steam. So, you know, there's a time to move on.
What planes did you fly?
Mostly C-130s. People often say, "Oh, Dan, those are the really huge airplanes." It's like, well, huge is relative. We're kind of small compared to C-17s and C-5s, but we could haul a load of troops and get them anywhere. The way we like to say it is we take the shooters to the war and keep them resupplied. So I think some of my favorite missions were resupply missions to remote outposts, like in the middle of nowhere in Turkey, for example. We're the first airplane in there, the first Americans in there in about 2 weeks, and it's a week before Christmas. I can't tell you the number of people that came up and hugged me. They were so thrilled to see us.
And all your supplies that you had and all the stuff you had for them,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Did
fresh
you-
veggies, groceries, and Christmas presents. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see any
Of
military
course.
action?
I did back in the unpleasantness in Southeast Asia. Most people have decided to go home except the communists. So we were sporting the government troops over Cambodia fighting the Khmer Rouge.
Ooh, that's a tough job.
So you were doing this for 25 years, and then I guess you said I'm seasick or my mare's sick or whatever, and you had enough, and it was time to leave. And you wrote something pretty interesting here. It was like the opening line to a Superman comic, to the advertisement, where you go and say that you have had access to liberty, equality, justice, and the American way. By the way, I added the
Almost.
American way inside there, so I figured it was a good
Well,
ending.
sure. Well, yeah. I've always been mission driven, even as an engineer at Boeing. We're supporting the government. We're trying to do good things for good reasons. And when I literally was just introduced to Legal Shield and ID Shield, I had no idea it even existed. I was just blown away with it,
Well,
being the
what
skeptic
is
that I
Legal
was.
Shield? What do they do?
Yeah, so in so many words, it's a subscription service. We hire the best law firms in North America. We earn $500 million a year using an insurance model. So we have lots of individual members kicking in a little bit every month. And with that large amount of money, we get to hire top flight law firms, one in every state, one in every province. And so as a member, you've actually retained that law firm. You can literally tap the app, call your law firm, attorney that you need is going to call you back in 4 business hours. He or she will have about 22 years of experience in his or her field of law. You don't even need to know what kind of attorney you need, because that attorney has every kind of attorney you could need. So it's an amazing service. State's Attorney General love to point out that now we've found a way to open the doors of the courthouse for everyone.
Well, let me ask you
Very
a question,
nice.
because I hear all kinds of stories, because we've had other Legal Shield people on this show and other shows they've been on. You mentioned something that you hire some of the top attorneys. Now, how do you get the top attorneys at the rates that they? The top attorney is getting $500 to $1,000 an hour. Okay, $300 and $400 is commonplace now, and that's too much. Right. So how do you get these top attorneys to sign up with Legal Shield?
So let me use one example. So here in Texas, we have over 140,000 Legal Shield members. That allows us to write a check to our provider law firm, the one and only provider law firm, that exceeds $1.3 million a month. That's a lot of change. That allows them to go out and be very selective and hire the best attorneys. Those numbers are over 5 years old now. So I'm sure the checks are bigger, and I have no doubt that there's more attorneys in that law firm. Does that help?
Interesting. Yes, it
Lisa can
does.
say it's interesting. I just don't understand why an attorney, like even some of these big time attorneys that you hear on the news, would go and do something. I mean, it's great that they do and that people can get the use of somebody like that. I just don't see business wise why they would want to do that.
So let me embellish that a little bit. So in every case, we're that law firm's number one client. We write the biggest checks to that law firm. So when we call, they know that we're the number one client. And because we have so many members, the attorneys are already paid. The challenge with attorneys is what what clients are they going to accept? Because their time is incredibly valuable, as you just
Well, they get
rightly
paid for
pointed
the
out.
time. That's what their business is.
Exactly. All the billable hours. Every law firm that we have loves being a Legal Shield member, a part of our network of provider law firms, because now they don't have to worry about the constant hunt for the next client, the billable hours, the billable hours, the billable hours. And as one attorney famously said, perhaps apocryphally, you know, Dan, when I went to law school, I want to learn how to help my clients, not learn how to gouge them. And
Well, he's a
so
rarity.
attorneys get to actually help and focus on how do we solve that person's problem as quickly as we can and in their favor because they're already paid.
A whole bunch of years ago, I believe that I was a member of Legal Shield. And I did something happen. I don't know what it made. It might have been a car accident or something. I really don't know. So I used their service, and I think the first hour or so, I paid X number of dollars, and then all of a sudden that price like doubled or tripled. Is there how much time you get, and then the price changes, or does then the attorney make his own policy?
Oh no, this is not like perhaps medical insurance or other experiences.
No, this was Legal Shield at that time. Now, things could have changed. I mean, obviously, it's been a long time since I had been a member. But,
Yeah.
the attorney was terrific. He was really good at what he was. I had no problem with that. But I was just surprised about the transition of the money.
So today, the advice is essentially unlimited. And I say essentially because in some cases we have scheduled hours. For example, if you are going to have an IRS audit, we've reserved 50 hours of an attorney's time to help you fight that off. But if it's just general advice, hey, somebody's irritated me and I want to know what my rights are. Okay, let's, get on the phone and chat and understand what it is. And the beauty of that is there's no meter running, so you don't have to worry about.
And that's the beauty. That's why I was bringing up what I had happened with myself versus the way things, I'm sure, have been for a bunch of years. How many different types of attorneys does Legal Shield have?
I'd have to go in and count. I've been told something like 17 different. We have a smartphone app that actually, rather than just call the law firm, you can actually identify what your issue is and provide elaborating information. So when the attorney calls you, he or she is more prepared, so the conversation goes more efficiently. We have one for, state attorneys, traffic. Oh, gosh, here's where I would take a picture of my traffic ticket and send it, and then get some advice on how to deal with the constabulary that I just irritated. But yeah, I think there's like 18 to 20. My favorite is other. Well, heck, I don't know what kind of attorney I need, but I need some adult supervision.
There are some attorneys that do things that we never heard of.
Touche.
That's for sure. So what about those camera tickets that everyone is getting for speeding or turns, red light camera, all of that?
Sure. Well, every municipality, every state has their own rules and how they handle it. It's really nice when you have a powerful attorney in that powerful law firm fighting for your rights. It always goes better if you have an attorney who can represent you to your best interest rather than just you trying to, skip into court and look around and say, oh, there's a arresting officer and apparently he's really close to the judge. Yeah, this won't go well. In fact, one example, just one data point from California, a friend of mine, got nailed for going through the red light camera, if you will. And her position was there was a guy tailgating her. She physically cleared, looked around, made sure that the intersection was cleared. She felt that if she slammed on her brakes, she would have been rear-ended. So she thought that was a safer move. Well, she goes to the court court date and so forth. It all shows up in the mail. Well, her attorney meets her. The attorney sticks his head and says, "Oh, that's Judge so-and-so. We don't want Judge so-and-so. He's real hard. You know what? Let's get a continuance and see if we can get a better judge." Okay. One can argue it's one thing to know the law. It's even better when you know the judge.
Nice.
Amen. So anyway, she, they have another court date. She shows up. Yeah, she paid a fine, but it was like $200 to $300 less than what she would have paid if she just admitted fault and wrote the check.
And probably no points.
Yeah, I can't address that.
Yeah.
From personal experience, I got this ticket. In fact, I've got a ticket in Colorado. I've got a ticket in Texas. Well, what are my options? Well, you could admit fault, suck down points, write the check. Or let's have the law firm call and see what we can do. And in both cases, yes, I paid the fine, but I have a clean driving record, no points. And I didn't have to take traffic class or, safety driving or anything like that. So
as long as we're talking about driving and whatever, I'll tell you an interesting story that happened to myself, and hopefully you'll find out why it's interesting. I'm on my way to a convention for my music business, and all the way upstate New York, and I'm just cruising at 70 miles an hour. Nice, speed limit was 65. I'm at 70. It's all good. My wife says she needs to use the ladies' room, and we're in the middle of this highway. I said, okay, but can you wait to the next? No. So what am I supposed to go and do here? So I hit the gas, and I took off. The lights were right behind me. So he pulls me over to the side. He says, "Sir, I just want to let you know you were doing 96 miles an hour, and we're going to give you I said, how much? 96. I said, okay. So I get the ticket. I just look at her, and then I proceed to go. I get to the hotel. My hotel room is not ready. Right? It's supposed to be ready at early. I'm there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. No good. Okay, let's go to the convention hall and find our table. I go to the table. I said, oh, they gave me the wrong table. I get the table, right? There is a state trooper sitting at my table. And he's seeing me put out my stuff, and it was all oldies doo-wop thing. He says, I love oldies. I just love this. I said, all right, why don't you come back tomorrow, and I'll make you a little package. So he goes, okay. So I give him his package, and then I say, maybe you could do me a favor. And he says, what's your favor? I said, well, I got this ticket on the way up here, and he says, let me see it. He says, you were doing how much? I said, don't. That's not the point. The point is I was doing it. I got the ticket. I said, is there something that you could help me with? Is there someone I can get in touch with? He goes, well, let me just tell you that the guy who wrote you the ticket is the judge's son. Oh, so the trooper is the judge's son who wrote me the ticket. He says, it doesn't look very good for you, but let me see what I can do. So make a long story short, I was able to strike a deal. I got no points instead of 6 points. I got no points, and I paid for parking at the hydrant. $100, and I was done.
You were in the right place at the right time.
Let me tell you. So I can
for
totally
those that are not at the right place at the right time, Dan, how can anyone reach you?
Good, come on. That was a good one.
Well, sure. So when I have, connected with somebody, I always give them my cell phone.
Well, why don't you give it to everybody now?
So now share your number with us.
All right. 714-397-8443.
One more time.
714-397-8443.
Excellent. So anyone needing some legal shields, give Dan a call.
Now, let me ask you another question. People that live on the East Coast, whether it be Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, Maine, Vermont, whatever, can you sell them Legal Shield, or do you have a protected territory?
So the answer is no. I technically can sell anywhere. some states do require licenses. My philosophy is anybody that needs help, let's talk. And if you are in one of those lucky states, if I can't sell it, I'll know somebody who can. One way or the other, we're going to take care of you. And at worst, we can always sign you up through the corporate website. This business is commission based, but that's okay.
But that's why I'm asking. I want to make sure that, from this program or any other way, that you get what you're entitled to, for that. So people, whether
thank you for that.
You're here on the East Coast or even in the Central States, have it be known that Dan can help you.
Indeed. I have clients literally all over the United States.
Mm-hmm. What's it cost to get a regular, are there basic packages and then senior packages? How does it work?
So, yeah, we do have different plans based on people's circumstances. Now, we have one plan that covers the individual and families. It includes a spouse or significant other, never married children under the age of 26, living at home or away at school full time. Same price, less than $30 a month. So that's why we like to say, for $1 a day, you too can get unlimited personal legal advice. Get those wills and powers of attorney taken care of. Fight those traffic tickets, especially if you have teenage drivers. Oh, the kids are going off to college. Well, gosh, they're still making decisions. Mom and dad are not there to guide them, and yet those decisions still have legal consequences. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to protect the bank of mom and dad? Guess who's going to get the first phone call? Dad, mom.
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question, because should that teenager call Legal Shield first and then call mom and dad?
Yes, they can do that.
Should they do that?
Well, I'll let
who should
mom
they
and
call
dad
first?
coach the child. We'll keep that within the family, but yes, it's important to know that all family members have access to legal services.
It's interesting because Lisa and I have belonged to other networking groups, and there was a particular networking group that we belonged to, where the question was asked to him: if you get stopped by a police officer for either speeding or for whatever reason, and he whips out, what are you supposed to show him? And then the attorney said, you show them my card. Because once they see that there's an attorney involved, they look at things a bit differently. From your experience, is that sort of true?
It is. Fortunately, I haven't had one of those, shall we say, more egregious situations, but we do have 24/7 access, for so-called emergencies. I consider it an emergency anytime that you're in front of the law and you have questions about what your rights are. And so that's why I tell anybody, if you see the flashing red lights, you might be a young lady in the middle of nowhere. It's dark. You don't know what's going on. You weren't speeding. What the heck is going on? Or you may have been out. Oh, yes, I had a drink. Huh. So you can have your attorney on the line before they come up to the window. Excuse me, officer, if it's your intention to arrest or detain me, I'd like to talk to my attorney. Really? At 2 o'clock in the morning? Yes, officer. He's on speed dial. May I please call him? I'm a Legal Shield member. If you're respectful and polite, odds are he's going to let you do that.
Is it mandatory that he lets you do that?
No, it's, the law is the law. The officer has the choice to do what he or she chooses to. But to your earlier point, if you understand what your rights are, the odds are he or she will acknowledge that and allow you to talk to the attorney. Phrased another way, if you don't know what your rights are, what rights do you have?
Now, does the presenting of the Legal Shield card do as good as presenting an attorney's card, or better?
Well, today in our virtual world, you can always show them your smartphone app with the Legal Shield logo on it. But you're right. Back in the day, we used to have, a Legal Shield card that you could show. We
Yeah.
don't do that
Oh,
anymore.
they don't have that.
So,
That's how far back
yeah.
I went.
That's okay. I still have my card just in case, right next to the kids' pictures.
So now instead of showing the card, now you should show the app.
I think so. If for any reason, the officer doubts you, but we've had situations where, a lady just said, "Look, I am a Legal Shield member. You're trying to arrest me for failure to show in El Paso County. I've never been to El Paso County. May I please call my attorney?" And he let her based on the fact that her attorney was on speed dial. So, again, if you know your rights, odds are the officer will let you pursue them. Be respectful, though, because, he or she is trying to maintain control of the situation.
You have an interesting story over here. We're going to do this one before we take a short break. You have a networking friend who had a problem. You want to explain that one?
Well, sure. I just
$10,000
started
problem?
in a BNI, and so I got to know this lady. She runs a security service, house security, small businesses and so forth. And apparently one of her clients had a whole bunch of equipment, and the policy had lapsed, and she had not returned the equipment to the tune of about $10,000. So I got a phone call. I was on a trip, and it was about 7:00 at night. Called. The challenge was, "So Dan, does your law firm? Well, here's my problem. I've got about $10,000 of chargebacks that I'm staring down. Can your law firm help me?" And I mentioned that. Well, sure. We've got a good track record of writing strong debt collection letters. Okay. So we signed her up. So this is like on a Thursday. Within a week, she got the equipment back. She avoided that chargeback. And the next week, there was a shout out at my networking event thanking me for saving her $10,000. So, that's a huge win.
That's a great win. Now, how long have you been involved with Legal Shield?
Great question. Tomorrow is my 12-year anniversary.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
12 years. And I expect there are tons more stories about your clients and all that you've done to help them.
But we're going to save those until we come back. And right
there
now,
are a lot out there for sure.
We're going to take our pre-turkey break, and we'll be back in just 2 minutes. Stay tuned, everyone.
My name is Lisa Rodino. I am a commercial loan advisor and broker. Have you been finding that your business's cash flow is not where you need it to be? Have you found yourself taking from your personal accounts to meet your business's obligations? Have you found that those quick solutions of quick money are starting to get awfully expensive? My job is to find the right funding products for my clients so they can get back to working in their business and give me the task of finding the best options for their situation. Give us a call today to learn more. 516-268-0350.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friend Entertainment USA. My name is Norman Wasserman. I am also known as the Music Man. Let me just tell you a little bit about Friend Entertainment. We put on concerts for charities, and we do that everywhere from New York to Las Vegas. We do R&B, Motown, rock and roll, jazz, whatever it is that you wish. Friend Entertainment will deliver the best of the best for you and your charity. Here are some of the names of the talent that have performed with us on our stage. Stevie Wonder, Tina Turner, The Temptations, Earth, Wind and Fire, the one and only ELO, Elton John himself, Kool and the Gang, and the fabulous Donna Summer. Go to our website, friendentusa.com. That's www.friendentusa.com, or feel free to call us at 631-698-9696. 631-698-9696, and we'll see you at the next show.
Okay, welcome back to the Business Awareness Hour with our special guest, direct from Texas, is Mr. Dan Hickox of Legal Shield. Now, doesn't Legal Shield also have other products that they sell?
Well, we do. So I've mentioned the personal plan. We also have small business plans. We have supplements to the personal plan and the business plan. And then we have a thing called ID Shield, which protects individuals and families or businesses against cyber attack and the hacks, the phishing, the spear, all those nasty terms associated with losing your identity.
So Lisa and I are small business people. Well, Lisa's a much bigger business person than I am. So, so that being said, we call you up and say we're interested in the business plan. What does that consist of?
Well, so I'll ask a few questions. First of all, do you physically own the entire business?
Yes.
Or if you have a partner who's a immediate family member? If the answer is yes, then you're eligible for the home business supplement. You don't have to work out of your home. You could have a brick and mortar. You could have W-2s. But this is to focus on basically the sole proprietor.
Okay, so what do we get for protection? In other words, we have a business attorney. So what can that business attorney do for us? Anything?
Right. Well, so one, it's a supplement to the personal plan. Our supplements, all of our supplements are $14.95 added to the $29.95 a month. So you're looking at less than $45. Now you're protecting both your family and your business. So with that, you've now added unlimited business legal advice through unlimited personal legal advice. Now you have not just demand letters, but debt collection letters, which I just described. You have contract reviews for both a business purpose, now added to the contract reviews with personal purposes.
Will they write contracts for you?
No. I mean, you can always pay them to do that, but typically there will be a template out there that they'll be happy to share with you.
It's always a template.
And you fill it out, Mr. or Miss Business Owner, and they'll review it and mark it up. And then you two can have a wide-ranging conversation about what stays in, what comes out, why, wherefore, and so forth. So in that sense, it's very cost-effective. There's one other benefit that I'd like to touch on. The personal plan has tax audit protection. Well, that's great, except it's personal plan, so it doesn't include Schedule C, which is self-employment income, or Schedule E, rental income. So if you happen to be audited in those areas, you're hot out of luck if you're a small business owner, unless you have that home business supplement. Does that make sense?
So do you need an attorney for that, or do you need an accountant for that?
Well, that's a great question. So the accountant knows the numbers. The tax attorney knows the law.
But if it's a tax attorney, he'll also have numbers. He'll understand
yes.
that. Okay, so that's one of those 17 other different types of attorneys.
Well, yeah, and it just reminds you that, yes, we do have tax attorneys, and you can get advice before you irritate the IRS, not just after you've irritated them.
But that's half the fun, is irritating the IRS.
Yeah, I've been there. No.
Gotcha.
It's such a waste of time.
I got you covered. So in Lisa's business, for argument's sake, no, Lisa, why don't you ask? You got a special business.
Right. And we're in the lending business. So you talk contracts. Is there a limit to how many contracts? Is there a limit to pages of contracts for reviews and
Sure. So typically it's up to 15 pages. In my case, I was looking at real estate. It was a large chunk of paperwork. And I called the attorney and I said, so you say 15 pages. And the answer was, look, most of it's boilerplate. Just send us what you have. If we need to charge it, we'll let you know. But I just need to know what's not boilerplate. So in my case, there was no additional charge. So there are limitations. I'd have to look at the actual paperwork to see exactly what it is. But as a business owner, you can always ask yourself, well, so how many debt collection letters, how many contract reviews do I need in any given month or year?
Right.
And, at the low end, you have the home business supplement. You're also eligible for a business plan. Now, what's different is a business plan has to be an established entity. A home business supplement, you don't have to. I'm a sole proprietor. I don't have an LLC or an S Corp or any of that. I don't really need one. And oh, by the way, if you are a sole proprietor, we can create an LLC for you. It's incredibly easy, one-time fee, $149. Attorney will call you within 4 business hours, answer any questions you might have. He or she will go off and file the paperwork, and you get 3 months of the personal plan and the home business supplement. And if you've already got those plans, you have a 3-month holiday from paying on it.
Will your attorneys also incorporate somebody? Will they set up a corporation? I want to open a new business. Will they do that?
We used to, but for some reason they dropped that service. However, anytime, all the services that I'm describing on the personal plan, the business plan, there's no bill associated with it unless you've exceed whatever the scope might be, whether it's the number of pages of a contract or the numbers of demand letters, for instance. But, sorry, I'm having a senior moment.
I have plenty of those.
Gray hair.
No big deal. I'm used to it.
But yeah, no, and you're well knowledged with the material that you're sharing with everyone. It's nice to see that. It's refreshing.
Let's also
you know what you're doing.
Being that he knows what he's doing, why don't we take a look at that wonderful website that we're going to go over? Because we only, believe it or not, Dan, we only have 20 minutes left. Okay,
crazy.
This is it's crazy stuff what we got going on here. All right, so let's see if we can jump to the website.
Yep, I'm at the main page, and Dan, we have it out there. You're not going to see it on any of our cameras here, but the audience will.
Oh, okay.
And we have people in the back showing everybody. So we have the first open page, and we see Smart Simple Coverage starts here.
Who's that good-looking guy in that front page?
Oh, up on the right.
He looks like a
that's
pilot.
Dan right there.
He looks like a pilot out of West Point or something.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a clue that you know that you're at the right spot.
That's right.
Yes. And, we see memberships, but also become an associate, also resources, and about us. So when I go to that About Us page, it talks about the top 10 reasons and why the PPLSI is simply the best.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Yes, the PPL.
So PPLSI is the parent organization. Back 50 years ago, we were called Prepaid Legal Services, Inc. And then about a dozen years ago, we were purchased by Ocean Ventures, a bunch of billionaires, venture capitalists, took us off the New York Stock Exchange, paid a premium for us. They saw great value in what we brought, didn't want to worry about, quarterly reports to shareholders. They were playing the long game, and they realized that, prepaid legal just doesn't sound as impressive as Legal Shield or ID Shield. So they thought, so it was, the name of the company, Prepaid Legal Services, Inc., doing business as Legal Shield. And then over time, as our ID Shield offering became stronger and more of a well-known, the people, the smart ones at corporate said, okay, let's relabel ourselves as PPLSI, bringing you Legal Shield and ID Shield. And so sometimes I'll introduce myself as Dan Hickok's PPLSI, but you know me as Legal Shield and ID Shield.
Interesting. Yes, and there's a lot of, the 10 points that you have here. Very, very interesting stuff. So everyone, when you want to explore that site, go to the About Us page. It'll give you a little history or a little couple of points that will help encourage you to rethink Legal Shield if you haven't gotten it already.
It sounds like a super plan. It really is.
Yes.
There must be a catch here someplace. I'm gonna try to see if we
You're going
can
to try and
catch
uncover it?
Yeah, we're gonna see.
Okay, and you mentioned all the different plans that you have for the personal plans, the member bill of rights, the gun ownership supplement,
How
the
big is
home
that
business
gun?
supplement.
How big is that gun ownership supplement in your part of the country?
Well,
that
it's
must
very
be huge.
popular. The first instance of it was here in Texas. At one time, it was a standalone plan, but then over time, they realized, let's just make a supplement to the personal plan. So again, for just $14.95, you as a member and your spouse can be protected from any firearm-related incident where the firearm is legally possessed.
Well, there's got to be different degrees of.
Well, the way I present it is, who do you know who hunts or carries on a regular basis? Concealed carry. Some
so that's
states
everybody
permit open carry.
in Texas or the West.
They're required.
I mean, they carry guns.
Yeah. Homeowners, I thought anyone that owns property in Texas has to be protected or have a weapon in the home. Is that correct?
Well, it's not that we have to. It's just a lot of us feel that we feel safer. This is Texas, so if it doesn't bite you or sting you, it's probably dead. So,
Or you're helping it become dead, right?
Stay alert, stay alive.
I mean, really.
That was a motto that my dad always taught me. So,
Mhm.
but it's, no matter where you are, even here in Texas, the odds are if there's an incident, you're going to get arrested first and ask questions later. So this is all about protecting the individual and your rights. It always has been. And so, there are legal times that it's appropriate to carry and other times when it's not. And sometimes people are in the right, but they're accused of being in the wrong.
Right. So you have a trial defense supplement. What is that about? And can you activate it before you go to trial, but before you, after you get convicted? How does that work?
Yeah. So from the personal plan standpoint, the day you sign up, you have 60 hours of attorney's time already paid for.
Okay.
Now, you only have 2.5 hours pretrial, and the rest is in the in-trial bucket. You could argue 2.5 hours pretrial is not a whole lot. Mm-hmm. However, 57.5 hours in trial, that's huge. So if you feel that you're particularly vulnerable for whatever reason to lawsuits, then sure, trial defense. Now you've added an additional 25 hours pretrial, 75 hours in trial. This is incredibly robust. Now, whether you have the trial defense or not, every anniversary of your sign up, as long as you keep your membership, we're going to add 60 hours to the bucket. Another half hour goes in the pretrial, and the rest goes in trial. And if you don't use the service, it'll cap at 300 hours. Or if you have the trial supplement, 400 hours.
Is this the time? Is this the time when those major league attorneys get to be really used, the big time defense attorneys through Legal Shield?
Potentially so. Yeah. I mean, you're going to be represented.
Can you request a particular, like you've never gone to trial before, but you know that Joe Smith is a top-notch trial attorney in your area. Can you request him?
Well, you can have that conversation, and it all depends really, because it's where you're located as to where they're going to get that attorney. So I'm down in Austin, and our law firm happens to be up in the Fort Worth area. So if I've pissed off somebody and it's being sued here in the local area, they're probably going to hire, a top flight attorney who they have on standby. They have this stable of referral attorneys. So it's not like, oh, Dan screwed up. Well, we got to find an attorney for Dan. What are we going to do? Now they've got these folks, ready, willing, and able. It's just a question of reaching out. I can always request somebody. And as I like to point out, the attorney that we refer through Legal Shield will offer you at least 25% preferred member discount.
Right, I remember that. Right.
And it's up to you to hire that person. So if you think Joe Schmerdlap in your local area,
you know him?
Really...
You know that guy? I know his cousin Tommy.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tommy Schmerdlap. Yeah, he was a good basketball player.
Well, yeah, and his brother apparently became this hotshot
defense attorney.
Yeah, exactly. So, now you got a data point, and maybe you'd rather go with Joe, and you'd rather shell out the extra money. That's great. That's your choice. It won't affect your membership at all. And you can always ask. Maybe Joe wants to be contracted with Legal Shield. I know a lot of attorneys who would like to.
What's his name?
Joe Schmerdlap.
So we have fun on this show.
That we do.
That's excellent.
So is the legal system really broken?
Well, one could argue that if you have enough money, no, it's not. But that certainly seems like it's really unfair to most Americans.
Absolutely.
And that's why I will ask people, do you know who to call? Do you know who you can trust? And do you know who you can afford when it comes to legal challenges? And I would argue with a Legal Shield membership, you've solved those challenges for yourself and your family or your business.
Well, I think that's a great conversation within itself, which is not for a here and now, but there's a lot of stuff that we could talk about.
Transpires. Oh yeah, definitely. So what are the most popular services that the families within your plan use for the Legal Shield, that Legal Shield plan?
Well, statistically, most people that you meet will not have a current will. Like it or not, no one gets off this planet permanently alive. Okay, so we all need wills. So I look for people that are new to the state. Some states already have a will just in case. I've never met an attorney that said, oh, that's good. No, you never want that particular will. You always want to protect your family. It's the way you can establish guardianship. So families with young children absolutely have to have wills in place. Dad likes to do skydiving and the wife likes to ride a motorcycle. Oh, hell yes. Get your wills, please. There's no time like the present to get it done because you have no idea when you're going to get checked out. And remember, it's not for you. It's for the loved ones that you left behind.
Right.
Right.
We can also offer wills for the dependents when they turn 18. So they're going off to college. Wouldn't it be nice to have wills in place? You hate to think that an 18-year-old is going to need a will, but sadly, there are.
No, it's a fact of life, especially today.
Yeah, absolutely. But also the medical
aspect.
Powers of attorney.
Right.
Power of attorney for any medical care.
Yes.
Because once they're 18, mom and dad have no right to their medical coverage if they don't have something written down.
Or to advise them on what to do and not to do.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we learned that the hard way when our older daughter was in college and caught pneumonia, and we just found out from her roommate. So yeah, it was tough. So with the Legal Shield membership at the personal plan, will, healthcare power of attorney, durable power of attorney, advance directive, HIPAA release. You need all, and it's for you and your spouse. And oh, by the way, we can update that every year thereafter. Oh, wait. What? Uncle Buck? We don't want him as a guardian anymore? Who knew? Okay, update the will. You can do that.
You have an
Nice.
Uncle Buck too. Yeah, we have so much in common. You have Mr. Watt, and I have a Mr. Watt. It's amazing.
So because identity theft is so prevalent these days, can you address how your ID Shield portion of the plan works?
Sure. Now, this is entirely separate from our legal plan, but just know that when you have identity issues, you're going to have legal issues. Why do people commit identity theft? Because they're going to want to cheat you one way or the other, right?
Right.
So, essentially, it's about monitoring and restoration. Those are the two elements. So, on the monitoring side, it's not just about credit cards. Think bank accounts, investment accounts, social media accounts. We'll monitor for cyberbullying. We'll create a reputational score, see how you're perceived in the Ethernet. Passports, driver's license, telephone numbers, email addresses, physical addresses. We're in the dark web daily. We check court records. We'll even check the sex offenders list. If our team of experts detects an anomaly, they'll notify you immediately. If you, on the other hand, detect an anomaly or you have a question, there's some really obnoxious emails, and sometimes there's some very subtle texts out there. Oh, hey, we're UPS. We can't deliver your package. Please click on this link and provide us the information. Oh, wait. Well, did you or didn't you? Oh, crap. Well, maybe you did. Well, you can get adult supervision even on a Saturday or Sunday night. Speaking from personal experience, they're there. Get the adult supervision that you need so you can sleep well at night. And if there is a legitimate identity theft situation going on, our licensed private investigators will do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to restore your identity to its pre-theft status. We put that in writing. That's a guarantee. So we're there. We have a $3 million insurance plan to back it up. That's to protect your wallet from out-of-pocket expense. And today, we can protect all your devices. So if you're a single, we can protect 3 devices. If it's a family, which is you, a spouse, or significant other, unlimited number of kids. That's not a personal challenge, by the way.
Man, too bad I'm too old for that.
No, you're not.
But up to 15. So I think it's VPN anti-malware. So,
Nice.
the next time you're at the coffee shop, doing your thing, you'd be protected with an ID Shield membership.
So what's the number that anybody can reach you to get more information?
It's the same one, 714-397-8443. And for our friends in California, it's Southern California, but I don't live there anymore, but I'll still answer. And if I don't, please leave me a message.
Okay.
Again, that's 714-397-8443.
I
Perfect.
asked a couple of times during the course of the evening, and since we're getting down to almost end of show time, tell me how this model works. How the heck can you offer top-rated legal protection and at the same time call it affordable?
Because we have literally millions of members. Well, think the insurance plan. You have millions of members. Everybody kicks in a smaller amount. Gosh, I haven't talked to my law firm this month. And yet, I know they're waiting for me. Our standard of services are going to call me within 4 business hours. So, with everybody kicking in a little bit, that adds up to a whole heck of a lot. And that's why we can hire the best attorneys. And on average, they have about 22 years of experience. So, you're dealing with the A team here, not the rookies who are, trying to figure out how to pass the bar.
Yeah, well, that part all makes sense. Now, do you have
Yeah.
any events or speaking engagements? With your product and your service, and you did such a good job this evening occupying this hour, you'll have plenty to talk about and to educate people. Do you set up these conversations with people? In group sessions?
Not particularly. There's always that opportunity. I do like to network a lot. And occasionally I get the opportunity to share the good word. And of course, I'm always looking for people who want to help me share the good word because there's only one of me. So, yeah, but that's a great point. It's all about, who knows me. So, yeah, I love to spread the good word.
Oh, it's when you join a network group like all of us belong to the same one. When you first get on and you introduce yourself, your time's over, basically. So if you don't make those one-on-one phone calls, you shouldn't join a network group because that's the one-on-one is what it's all about. It's great if you could become a speaker in one of those one-on-ones where you can address 40, 50, 100 people at a time. That's a
Yep.
little hint for you, my friend.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
and
Yeah.
they'll be having some events, and they do it twice a year in the spring and in the fall.
It's
So
called
pay
the
attention for when those
extravaganza.
opportunities are coming.
Yeah, no, that's
Yep.
great. I should also point out that we do offer employee benefits, and that is an opportunity where you can get in front of more than just the onesie twosies, and depending on how many employees are available that day. So,
Mhm.
yeah, there are many different ways.
Well, I got to tell you,
Awesome.
you really did a great job here tonight. You're very, very,
Yeah.
very educational, and I have to compliment you on putting up with me. So that,
It's been a pleasure.
that's a
Oh, we've enjoyed having you.
major thing that we do. So I thank you for being here. I wish you and your
Yeah.
family a very, very happy and safe Thanksgiving. All right, and I hope you
Yes.
have plenty to eat, and that you watch a lot of football, and that you don't need your gun.
And you don't have to call Legal Shield
And you
during the
know,
holidays.
that's even better. Don't call Legal Shield
Sure.
because I don't care what attorney it is. He's going to be freaking pissed at you.
It's going to be a bad day if you have to call on a holiday, that's for sure.
That's it.
Yes.
And-
Thanks for the time. I really enjoyed it.
no, it's our
and,
pleasure. It's our pleasure. You
Well,
stay
thank
right
you.
Do all
there
the
It was
best.
great having you.
because I want to tell everybody
Good.
to have a good Thanksgiving. So
Yep.
you stay where you are.
So stay there, Dan. All
Okay,
right, Norman.
everybody, have a nice
Good
Thanksgiving.
show.
Good night. Why,
Yep,
was that
another-
good? No, it wasn't the way it's supposed to be. Really, from the bottom of my heart and Lisa's, we wish you and your family a wonderful family affair in having Thanksgiving and all those goodies and getting together and kissing and hugging
Yep.
and watching football.
And may your teams win and your families all get together peacefully. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving,
Amen.
everyone.
And we'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
The Business Awareness Hour with Lisa and the Music Man is brought to you by Media Stations in Bohemia, New York. Create your own media and have your own station. That's Media Stations in Bohemia, New York. 516-448-2066 or visit mediastationsinc.com.